Hey everyone, welcome to my video. So before I go to bed, I figured I just gonna make this short video about like 10 minutes regarding how I started off composing music. You can treat this as an introduction to music composition for beginners. I'm just gonna make it as casual as possible. I think first of all, you'll need to understand or know how to play a chord-based music instrument, which is either the guitar or piano. So for me personally, I just picked it up naturally when I was teaching myself how to play the guitar. I started off from learning the chords of the songs that I really like, and then gradually I figured out that there's like a pattern of these chords across the board, especially like the Canon chords. There's like a video online where how 4 Canon chords cover a plethora of popular hit songs. For beginners, try to write songs based off of these really popular chord progressions. Say, besides the Canon chords, you'll also have like 2-5-1 or 2-5-1-6 for jazz. So, like, I have a notebook of staff paper that I jot down the chord progressions of the songs that I really like, and then I try to imitate these songs by using the similar chord progressions. So when you're learning something, you always start off with like imitating, you know. So that's the way to go. At least it worked for me. So once you've written a couple of songs based off of the classic chord progressions, you can move on to the next approach, which is developing like a melody out of nowhere. Its official name is motif. Both classical composers and pop composers get inspirations from motifs. For example, Mendelssohn wrote the E minor concerto based off of the motif that he said has been like running like a brook on my mind for a couple of months, and then one day I started to write it down. And Tchaikovsky's D minor concerto for violin, of course. You can see that like the intro part of that concerto seemed like irrelevant to the motif later on. Tchaikovsky heard the intro part from a beggar, and then he just like kind of used it immediately in its concertos, and then he developed his own motif for the rest of the piece. So that's why I feel like I'm really okay with crossover music, meaning like blending classical with pop music, because after all, these are all beautiful inspirations that just kind of like strike you. Once you miss it, you're not gonna get it again. For me personally, I get inspirations from my dreams a lot. Like, I just like kind of listen. I could hear melodies in my lucid dream, and I would just like wake up and then record that melody on my phone, and then later on I'll develop it into a full piece. So it's sort of like the Baroque violinist / composer Tardini. He wrote the Devil's Trills after like hearing that melody from his dream where a devil was playing that melody. It's pretty cool, right? It's pretty common for composers to visit in certain tribes and collect the folk music and then blend them into their own pieces. And then moving on to the next approach, it's rather an ideology than an approach, is just to read books, travel, and experience life. Sort of just like live the moment, enjoy your life, and something is gonna strike you. Because for me personally, I get inspiration from Greek mythology, Shakespeare, philosophy. Actually, I've written a song named after Persephone. I've written songs for Shakespeare sonnets. So it's really just to live your life to the fullest, you know. Next, I'm going to introduce some books that I used when I was like first composing music. Chord and progressions. Pretty straightforward. I got it from Sam Ash. But anyway, I'm going to post the name and the publisher down in the descriptions. So it really just like talks about the popular chord progressions. Then when I first started, I would like write songs based off of the chord progressions here. Another book is the Jazz Theory Workbook. It's just like intro to your music theory rather than the actual jazz stuff. I feel like I'm gonna post a link, the publisher, the author as well. I also found these guitar and piano chord charts pretty helpful when I first started practicing guitar and the piano. Once you're able to tell the chords from a song that you hear and then try it out on the guitar or the piano, you're like 50% done in terms of knowing how to compose music. And then another tip is that try to learn as many instruments as possible. Once you get over how to write the melody and the chord, the next step would be music arrangement. You add in other voices of instruments to make your music sound fuller. So for me personally, I dabble in a bunch of different instruments. Like my major instrument is the violin, but I also taught myself how to play the piano and the guitar, ukulele, etc. And I also explored the sound library, since everything can be like basically produced by connecting the MIDI keyboard to a DAW. That's music production, which I'll probably make another video about it later. And then I guess another tip would be listen to as different genres of music as possible. Like I'm really into world music. I'm very interested in cultures from different parts of the planet. The mainstream pop music, jazz, bossa nova, traditional Chinese music. Like for me, I sort of like grew up in both cultures. It just seemed natural to me to pick up music from both cultures. I'm also kind of into exploring Oriental instruments. Like I have a Japanese Okinawa sunshine. Kind of like immerse yourself into as many different possibilities as possible. And also like try to replicate what you hear in the DAW. This is a very helpful process to train your ear, to learn like the best part of other people's music. Thanks for listening. Hope it helps. Bye bye.